Hello everyone, my name is Cassie Nestler and I did my social problems project on high school drug use. The overall main question is, what are the biggest impacts of drug use on the high school population? Now I chose this topic for a few different reasons. There's a very large range of people it affects, not just the high school abusers. The people that use drugs are obviously one of the largest affected groups, but it also affects the people that are around these teens and those who will have a future with them. Drug abuse and addiction is a long-lasting problem for obvious reasons. It does not just get you high for 6 hours and then completely vanish from your system forever and leave no damage behind. According to the United States Department of Health and Human Services, just over 5,000 kids died in 2015 from a drug overdose, and these numbers are on the rise. Also, teens that abuse drugs are more likely to be incarcerated and will be contributing to the overcrowding problem in jails. As far as relevancy goes, pretty much everyone knows someone who has used drugs, abused drugs, or has even done so themselves. The behavior of drug users affects everyone around them, so we've all been affected in some way. The National Institute on Drug Abuse created this graph on the right side of your screen and shows that students who reported daily use of marijuana are increasing over time in every grade. We were all in high school at some point, so I'm sure all of us have either tried marijuana or come in contact with someone who has. This is a social issue for pretty much every reason that I just stated. It affects everyone, long-lasting repercussions, it messes with the brain and impacts those who are the future, and can most importantly negatively affect the different ways society functions. For example, if more people are using drugs, then there will be an increased demand for drugs and can cause an increase in crime rates and will definitely cause an overdose increase and drug-related arrests. The repercussions of drug use can be violent behavior, for example, which can result in expulsion from schools and police records, which will further prevent college and job opportunities. Drugs mess with the mind. That's no secret. There have been studies that show a correlation of drug abuse and teen pregnancy, which can show how the minds of tomorrow's adults are being altered. Society functions in an already messy way, but drug use can and will complicate this process. For the connections to learning objectives, there are 3 broad course competencies from this semester that apply to the social problem of drug abuse. These are to summarize the role of social work in social control and social change, the broad range of practice settings for social workers, and to identify the social, economic, and political stratification of our society. These learning objectives all apply to drug abuse because social workers are there for abusers and advocate for better policies and aid. Right now, drug rehabilitation programs in America are definitely not cheap, so social workers may advocate for lower cost or free rehabilitation facilities. Social workers will often see drug abusers in any and every role that they play, so they must be well educated and have diverse knowledge on resources for these people. Moving on to the roles and values of social work practice and the connections to drug abuse in teens, the NASW Code of Ethics applies in every aspect. The first is service and applies to the knowledge of drug abuse risk factors and government policies that can and do apply to these drug users. Social workers are required to draw on their knowledge, skills, and values to help people in need, including drug users, and they have to use that knowledge to address social problems. Social justice requires social workers to pursue social change, particularly with and on behalf of vulnerable and oppressed individuals and groups of people. In this case, the vulnerable group are teens using drugs. Dignity and worth of the person are very important in this scenario because social workers need to promote clients' socially responsible self-determination, which can deter them from further substance abuse. The importance of human relationships is the foundation of social work and is applicable because they restore, promote, maintain, and enhance the well-being of individuals. Without this, social workers would not have a job. Integrity is crucial to social workers aiding in teen abuse because they most often don't let their parents know that they're using drugs out of fear of punishment, so confidentiality is key. Finally, competence is important because social workers have to understand substance abuse in general, especially any cultural issues regarding it. Certain cultures view drugs in a positive and negative way, and social workers need to be aware of this. So the effects of drugs and how to stop abuse. First off, the use of drugs damages the connections between neurotransmitters and the brain. According to author Jeffrey Jurgens of the Addiction Center, drugs block the ability for neurotransmitters to tell the brain important messages, including knowing right from wrong or even understanding how to walk. The absence of these messages and other crucial communications with the brain can cause detrimental outcomes. Second, each drug is known to give some form of a high and can create temporary memory loss of the duration during the high. Prolonged drug use can also block memories from a certain period in one's life due to limited memory capabilities. Expectations of unhealthy relationships actually refers to a partner always needing a fix and always needing to feel that high. Without feeling that high, someone cannot have a healthy relationship because they'll always be craving that cloud nine feeling. Depression is an obvious side effect, mostly because it makes the highs extra high, but the lows detrimentally low. It is not impossible to stop drug use, even if it may seem that way. A great foundation to lay for deterring drug use from the beginning is to discuss drug use and negative effects in family conversations and school programs. Communication is one of the best ways to keep an honest line of dialogue and minimize drug usage. Programs such as DARE have a hard time being proven effective, but they can also not be proven ineffective. The idea of teaching kids when they are young what is right and wrong gives a better shot at lowering drug abuse rather than letting them try it out for themselves and suffer any number of side effects. The Mayo Clinic actually recommends for parents to keep track of their prescriptions, including locations of them and how many pills are left in the bottle. This way, if a prescription goes missing or is suddenly missing a few pills, the reasoning can be quickly determined rather than written away as a misplacement or miscount. Finally, if parents are encouraged to be a listening ear rather than a justice system with a mallet, children may be more likely to communicate and be honest about their drug experimentation or use. For my interview, I reached out to a high school social worker named Christina Holliday. She commonly works with the emotional needs of students as well as their academic concerns, and this can include drug use. As a high school social worker, she has a master's of social work and has been working in her district for several years. Christina says that she has seen the biggest impacts of drug use on teenagers, academic studies, and personal relationships with their parents. She was employed in a school where marijuana was a normal sight to see, and that any form of paraphernalia was found on a daily occurrence. The discovery of these substances resulted in its suspension, further deterring the ability to complete the student's schoolwork. She also says that the majority of students who were using more hardcore drugs had dropped out, and she often wonders if they're okay. Christina fully believes that addiction is a disease, and most begin using substances due to a trauma that occurred to them as a form to make coping easier. The dopamine that comes from using drugs that results in a feel-good feeling is what she believes is enticing new users. Christina made sure to point out that teens are more likely to get addicted because they are more impulsive and have higher risk in engaging in risky behavior than compared to an adult. She says that she often sees larger academic sufferings from drug use and commonly sees students dropping out of school. When asked what she would say to a classroom full of high school users that use drugs in a deterrent setting, she would say that finding the root of the problem and identifying a problem is the first step in helping solve the problem, while drug use is just multiple steps backward. Overall, Christina Holliday was a very helpful person in understanding drug use, and I learned a lot from her. During the Social Problems Project was very eye-opening, and I learned a lot about a very applicable topic. A struggle that I had was trying to find diverse effects that were new and not something that seemed very obvious. If I were to redo my project, I would maybe focus this project more on either mental or physical effects on drugs, so that would not be as large of a topic. I did gain more professional contacts and knowledge that I can definitely apply to my life. I have a few friends who have dabbled in drug use and even one or two that are truly addicted. With this new information, I can better help my friends and find a way to provide aid in their battle against a disease. If I had to ask one more question about this topic, it would probably be about what the future of drug use looks like. Are more laws going to be passed to regulate drug use? Will drug rehabilitation programs become more affordable or no cost? Overall, this was a very interesting topic, and I recommend everyone do a little bit more research on a very applicable topic. And those are all of my resources, and that's it for my presentation. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.